Chris Allen, and this is the Chris Allen MMA show. Today I'm being joined by one of Bellator's top rising stars at the moment. Well, I say rising stars, he's been in the organisation for 4 years, he's been very dominant. It's Mr. Michael Seabass Shipman. It's a bit of a mouthful there. How you doing? All right?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Chris.
No, so I really appreciate you coming on. Last time I spoke to you, we were at Bellator London backstage, and really appreciated that you came out as well, because they don't always bring everyone out to us. So I appreciate you coming over a chat then, and again, appreciate speaking to you now. Obviously, I don't want to start on a negative or anything, but last time I spoke to you, you said, you wanted to watch the fight back, your last fight, see what you thought and things like that. Yeah. So have you had a chance to do that now?
Yeah, I've watched it back a few times, yeah, and I'm not happy with it. Sorry, that's it.
No, you're right.
Yeah, obviously not happy with it. Still, it's a close decision, and you can't leave it that close. You can't leave it that close at the end of the day. But I wasn't satisfied with what I did in there, regardless of what the decision was. If I'd won or if I got the decision with the judges, I'm still not satisfied with what happened. And to be honest, I'm surprised that Fabian seems to be. So, at the time when it was fresh, he seemed gutted that the fight went like that, and that he was keen for a rematch. And now I think his cooler heads have prevailed in his camp, and now he just wants to forget it ever happened. It seems like it's disappointing for me.
Yeah, no, I bet it's disappointing for you, because I know it was a long time coming, that fight. You were really hyped up for that. And coming off Van Steen's fight as well, so you put a bloody good fight. It was very unfortunate, really, to be honest with you. You really gave your all in that fight. You were all over him most of the time. And in my opinion, I spoke to Fabian as well. I know him as well. But in my eyes, when it was going into round 3, I thought that was 2 rounds to you. What was your thoughts going into the 3rd round, Mike?
Yeah, that's exactly where I put it as well. I put to myself 2 rounds up. And in the 3rd round, to be honest, I won the first half of that round as well, but he won the 3rd round in the end, took it at the end. But my mindset wasn't correct. I was too, I don't know what it was. It was just like I was happy to coast to a boring win, and the gods of combat punished me for it. It's that seems as simple as that. I tried to game it. I thought, I've got it. And that's a hard lesson that I've had to learn, because it's a fight at the end of the day, and yeah, don't disrespect it, because the judges aren't always going to see what you've seen, and yeah, should just been out there just treating it as a fight through to the last bell. But yeah, I've learned from that now.
Well, that's a positive you take away from it. You learn from the mistake, sort of thing, because we're not used to you seeing. That's your first ever fight. I think we've seen you go to the final bell.
That's it. Yeah, so I got that's the most boring fight, and the most boring fight I've ever been involved with. I'm just more than in it. I guess maybe it was the whole build up, and it's like all that stuff. You just you don't want to lose to this guy. And then you get into a kind of a game playing mindset, instead of it's combat at the end of the day. Let's not forget. But yeah, you get into a game mindset, and rather than think about going out there and just being in a fight, you start thinking about I'm a couple minutes away from beating this dickhead, and I remember getting up off the ground at the end and thinking, yeah, I've done it. Because he got he ducked under a hook at the back, got one back at the end, and then I was like, I'll go to the mat, and then there's 10 seconds left, and I got up, and I remember getting up and being like, yes, I'm gonna get to revel in this, and put his face in it, and then yeah, but that's not what it's about. I should have been fighting. I should have been trying to. Fuck me for being happy with a shit win. Because that's what I ended up going for at the end. That's not what it should have been about, and the punishment was just.
Well, like I said, don't blame yourself too much, though, man. Because at the end of the day, a judge gave you 30-27, and I know you called him out at the media press conference.
Yeah,
make a start.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy. Ben Cartledge, still remember the name.
That's it. I thought you would. I thought you would. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like that stuff's outside my control. I can't. I don't know what's going through his head. I don't know what they're seeing. That's outside my control. So there's no point crying over spilt milk in that respect. All I can do is, what could I have done differently? Um, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff I could have done differently. And it's just, I think it's it's happened to me a couple of times. It's the I feel it's the mindset. It's every time I've tried to in my fighting, I've tried to focus on I try to focus on that outcome rather than the process, rather than what I'm doing in there and now. It's bit me in the ass, and you just got to be in that moment doing what's the correct thing to do right now in this moment, not thinking about what the ramifications is, what the outcome is. Just what's the correct thing for me to do right now in this moment to win this fight, rather than thinking, rather than thinking like too far down the line and trying to game it, because that's bit me ass. In my pro debut, I lost that fight. That was the same kind of I was in there. It's slightly different, but same kind of a thing. I was in there, and I was kind of I remember just thinking, I was all that stressed from my pro debut, and I remember just thinking, I just need to get rid of this guy, and then I can enjoy the win, and then I'm done, and I can enjoy winning the fight. And I went in with a shit uppercut I hadn't set up, that I've been told not to in training as well. I've been throwing it a bit in sparring. I've been told not to throw that shot like that, and I just thought, because I'd had success with it before, because I've knocked people out with it, I'm going to knock him out with this, and then done, and then I can celebrate the fight. And then I did a thing I shouldn't have done. I got stopped. And I was like, fuck. And then I realized I wasn't enjoying the fight. I wasn't in there. I wasn't in the moment. I was thinking about something else. And because I cheated myself of that moment, because I wasn't enjoying myself while I was in there, because I was thinking about something beyond the fight, I wasn't giving respect to the fight, and I got punished for it. And again, with this, slightly different scenario, but again, I was thinking of something beyond the fight. I was thinking about all that kind of build up and all that kind of like how good it's going to feel just to give this guy his first loss. And I wasn't thinking about right then and there in the fight. And then again, I get punished for that decision. So it's a thing I already knew in theory, but obviously I just needed a reminder. Like when you're in the fight, it's just that's where you've got to be. That's where your whole attention's got to be. And you've got to revel in it. You've got to enjoy being in there. You've got to it's disrespectful to the fight itself to start thinking about all this kind of shallow like stuff you put on top, like all that beef, all that kind of back and forth, all the financial. Yeah. It's just that's a shallow reward compared to the fight itself. And if you shortchange the fight itself, then you don't get either. You don't get the shallow reward that you're chasing after, and also you don't get the real thing that I've realized. The real thing I'm after is that thrill of the fight itself. You miss out on that as well, which is a real shame. Because who knows how many do any of us have in us? Who knows what could happen next day? Like you always think, oh, I can do it next fight. I do it. Well, one day there's not a next fight. And if you always have that attitude, you're never gonna perform. You're never gonna have that beautiful performance. You're never gonna express yourself authentically in a fight, because you're always going to be waiting for the next one. I can do it next one. One day there is no next one. It's a fucking Rocky 3. Like, there is no tomorrow. Like it's that's it.
And as I said, we don't know when the next fight's going to be at this current moment in time. But
yeah, that's brought it into focus as well. Exactly what I'm saying. That brought it into focus. I had one booked in. Had one booked in with Bellator, which I hadn't even announced yet. I was meant to be on that London card, and now that's gone as well. And that would have been a nice card because obviously Van Steenis and Fabian are fighting there as well, so I could have put some pressure on to get some rematches from those guys. But
are you allowed to say who you were matched up against, or is that?
I don't think so. No,
we'll leave that then.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good though that you were going to be competing, because obviously it wasn't officially announced on the May 16 card, so it was good that you were going to be on that card. What I was actually going to ask you, I was hoping you would be on that one, but were you thinking in your head, but in your eyes now, you want to get your Van Steenis fight back, you want to get your Fabian fight back. Which one would you prefer to have first if you were offered the rematch, if you offered them both?
That's tricky. Like either or really. Like so obviously yeah, either or. It's hard to say because at the end of the day, I think the Van Steenis will be a more, you can't have a boring fight with Van Steenis. Like, you can't, it's I don't think it's possible. Like, it's going to be, all he does is he presses action, and he's just got a mad gas tank, and he's just go. Maybe, yeah, Fabian a bit more kind of, a bit more of a slower pace, a bit more tactical, and it can, I call it tactic. It can lead to more duds. There's more duds that you can have with Fabian. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe because the Fabian's fresher, and also because there is that personal stuff. I would like to get that one done, and then I'd like to really enjoy that rematch with Anstinius, because I think that's going to be great. And I want that to. I don't want that. Yeah, okay, I got it. Fabian first, then Van Steenis, because that Van Steenis fight, I think, that's going to be an exciting fight. And I don't want that fight to be coming off the back of where I'm at the moment, because on paper I'm coming off 2 losses. It doesn't look good, and it could take some of the shine off that fight. So I'd like me to be on a winning streak, Van Stevens to be on a winning streak, and both of us be where we should be in the division, which is coming up towards the top, and then have that fight again, with the proper hype around it, because I think that's an exciting fight. I think our styles match up well. I think it's just it's gonna make a clash.
And I think Bellator definitely knew that as well, man. Sorry to interrupt, man. Bellator definitely knew that as well, because when you first took him on, you were on a 13-fight winning streak. You know, he was on a big win streak as well. You know, 11-1. You were 13-1, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
I think you were, yeah. And that's obviously why they thought that would have been such a fantastic matchup. You know, and again, I would have personally liked to seen in May. Were you surprised, as a lot of the media are? We've been speaking about it, that you weren't offered Fabian straight away as a rematch? Because at the end of the day, in the media room, no disrespect to any of the fighters, they tend just to bring the winners out the back. But they were more than happy for us to ask you to come out the back as well. So,
yeah,
are you surprised that you didn't get a rematch straight away?
Not surprised, to be honest, because the build up that went into that fight, and then I got to take my responsibility as well. It in terms of actual excitement in the fight, didn't quite deliver. And on top of that, they've done all this thing. They've done us promoting this fight, and then it doesn't quite deliver how we wanted it to. And then they're going to try and sell that right away again. I get that they want to build it up again. They want to get us. They want to get us both on. Well, get me back in winning ways, and they want to build that again, because if they let this fester for, I don't know, another year or so, or 6 months, or something like that, they let it fester, they let it go, they let it cook. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, both these guys winning streaks again, and they've been talking shit, and this goes back a long way, and then they can really sell it again. I get that. It's frustrating for me, because obviously I want to get it done. I want to show what I'm about, and I want to show Fabian as well. But I get from a business standpoint why they want to let this one. Same reason they let it go so long in the first point. Like, Fabian didn't have a big enough. For what he's saying, I'm running on all this nonsense he was saying. He started calling out when he was like 3-0 or something, and it's just, I get that doesn't make sense to put that fight on. When he kept opening his mouth, and I figured out who he was, we asked for that as well. But I get that Bellator were like, well, let's build it into something bigger first. Let's build it into. It's not going to be a co-main event if we do it now. But if we build up, we let it grow. We let them keep going at each other. They both keep winning. Then we can actually turn it into a headliner or thereabouts. Whereas if you get the timing wrong, then it's the same fight, but it's not the same fight for the public. It doesn't capture the imagination in the same way.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. You know, I completely agree as well, sort of thing. And I know a lot of these people starting off, they want to call out the big guns. And as I said, as soon as you noticed who it was, you accepted the fight straight away. And personally, I can't wait to see that fight happen again, mate. And it's going to be fireworks. But in your opinion, what's your prediction then for Fabian versus Van Steenis?
It's a trigger. Like, we had a discussion. Like, some people with different opinions. I'm edging Van Steenis for it, just because Fabian waits around quite a lot, and Van Steenis has got his gas tank's one of his best assets. And while you see his fights, he doesn't always. I feel like he doesn't always kind of like. I don't want to be rude to him, because I respect the guy.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't look to me like he spends a massive amount of time like tactically working out what his opponent needs or wants. He just kind of goes, this is what I'm good at, and I'm just going to bring war. He just comes forward, brings war, just constant kind of an onslaught. And the remedies for that, from what I can see, is like what you saw. We've seen happen to him is if you've got a big takedown, you've got a nice double leg that you can kind of set them down. What you saw, or you can take him down the cage and kind of and get that grappling stage. You've got high level grappling like Salter managed to neutralize him quite somewhat with the grappling. You either need that or you need an equalizer in your hands. You need a bomb. Neither of which Fabian has. And Fabian doesn't have a big takedown on him. He doesn't have. He's got the head kicks that, you know, when you know there's not one of those landed on me. Like when you know there's coming, it's not a huge amount to worry about. And he doesn't have bombs in his hands. So I could see him just kind of trying to waiting and kind of getting eaten up by Costello and like having a plan for him, but. Yeah, like I said, if you haven't got the takedown to set them down, you don't have the firepower in your hands. You're going to have your hands full with Van Steenis and just that constant pressure, because you saw him in the sort of fight. Even when he does get wrapped up, and even when he does, like, the only reason he lost that fight was just time. If that's a 5-rounder, his pace doesn't slow down, so he'll get wrapped up, and he's just still trying to kill you when you're on his back, and he's just so. I just think in terms of, it's just that cardio is what's gonna make the difference, and the fact that there's not just a button that I don't think Fabian can push just to switch him off. I think he's gonna get slowly but surely eaten up.
It's actually interesting to hear your thoughts. I don't want to agree or disagree with you because I speak to you both.
Of course, yeah.
But no, it's very, very interesting. I said it's actually going to be a very interesting fight, to be honest with you, and. I'm sure you'll be looking at what happens on the outcome of that fight between those two. You know, as I said, I'm sure you'll be looking at. I'm not saying just the winner, maybe even who doesn't come away with the win in that fight. You know, you may be looking at that person up next, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking I come off a win now, and then realistically I got to get the loser first, because the winner is going to be a jump ahead of me. Still, I'm going to have to catch him up. So I have to get the loser first. So in my head, how I'd like to work, because I have this next fight, which is I can't say who it is, but hopefully it's the same one. But it's a good, reputable opponent, and like well respected. Got a decent name behind him as well. So I get this done, beat this guy, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, I beat the loser of that fight next, and they're like, okay, he's on the way back, and then maybe I need one more, depending on what the other guy does. Maybe I need one more, and then have avenge both losses. Then obviously they've got all the right to ask for a trilogy, which I'll be happy to do.
Yeah, but everyone loves.
Everyone loves. Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Everyone loves a trilogy, man. You know, everyone loves. At the end of the day, everyone loves a grudge match sort of thing. From the build up with you and Fabian, even from the weigh-ins and everything like that. You know, a lot of people saw that as the main fight of the evening. You know, and you know, mate, as I said, it's good that you've got the right mentality still. You've taken positives from it. You know, some people would really be down in the dumps and be gutted about it and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, anyone can listen to your post-fight media straight afterwards. You know, you were upset, but you still gave juice to your opponent. You said Fabian, he came out and did it, blah blah blah, sort of thing. So, absolute utmost respect to you and your opponents. You know,
that's a little bit what irritated me. Like, I felt like in that brief moment at the end of the fight, I got to see a bit of what he was about. Like he obviously thought he was 2 rounds down as well, so he came out and he's like, well, it's do or die basically for him. He in both our heads, he had to finish that fight to win it, and he came out and he did his best to do that. Which was fair enough. And then so I had respect for he came out in the 3rd round, and then also the fact that he asked for a rematch immediately afterwards. I was like, okay, I got some. This maybe there's a bit something more about this guy. Like he's not happy with that performance, obviously, and I had respect for the fact that he came out, did his work in the 3rd round after not much in the first 2, and then asked for the rematch, because neither of us should have been happy with that fight, and neither of us were happy with that fight. But then what happened is, I don't know, in his camp or whatever, but like I said, those cooler heads must have prevailed and been like, this guy's work for you, you've got away with something here. In my opinion, he got away with something there, and let's not push our luck. And then it feels like all of a sudden he's not being a fighter anymore. He's gone back to being a businessman, promoting himself, and now all of a sudden I've got these hoops to jump through again. He's not entertaining the idea anymore. But frankly, he's spoken too much shit in the build-up. He's spoken too much shit over the past few years for me to just disappear, to forget about me now. He said if I'm not twitching, then it doesn't count. I'm not twitching. It doesn't fucking count. Like this fight wasn't what either of us wanted. There needs to be something more, and we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the fans. And the fact is, he fucking knows that as well. But the temptation is there's those service temptations I talked about. Those service temptations are, I can just keep going here and get some money, and I don't need that headache. I don't need that headache of that style that doesn't match up with me particularly well, and that is a big loss if I take it. And it seems like he's hoping I'm going to go away on my own now, but that's not going to happen. He's said Candyman too many times in front of the mirror. He said my name too many times, and I'm going to be a problem for him in the future.
Okay, and I'll say to you, I agree with you that rematch does need to happen, especially for the fans as well, and even us in the media room. We were all asking for a rematch as well. No, we love both of you exactly the same, but obviously we really wanted to see a rematch again. And if he Carl Nooned you, back in the day, your Carl Noon fight within 10 seconds, then I'd understand it. Okay, yeah. Sort of thing. But it wasn't a 10-second knockout sort of thing. It's almost like Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor again. McGregor should have given him that fight again, sort of thing, because it was 13 seconds. But the main thing is, mate, is that you're still a Bellator fighter. You're still rostered in the organisation as well. You're still one of the biggest names in the UK. You can just tell that from the support that you bring to all your fights as well. Like, even when at the end of the Fabian fight, when your hand wasn't raised, you could see a lot of people I was around, there's a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm, like a lot of people there for you, Maybe a couple of them got a little bit out of control. I'm not saying they were your teammates or anything like that. I don't know if you knew about that, by the way. There was no fighting, but a couple of guys jumped the rails and they weren't impressed. But I think that's because they saw Fabian jump over the cage toward your... What actually happened there? Like, I've had his side. What actually happened? We couldn't see it.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't see it either. All I heard was when I went back to speak to you guys, I heard about it. But I don't know. I think he jumped the rails, and people thought, "Oh shit, it's on!" Like they jumped the rails, they jumped the rails too, and then it was just a miscommunication. It was just a misunderstanding as far as I could figure out. They saw a guy they don't like hyped up running at them, so they're like, "All right, run at him as well." I don't even know everyone who was involved or what, but there was a lot of tension there around that fight, as you could tell.
Yeah, man, a lot.
It was ready to go, and then it just takes one. He was just celebrating. He was just ecstatic and relieved that he got a win he didn't necessarily think he had. So he was just excited. I'm not blaming him for getting hyped up, but it's just when there's that kind of tension that's been built around something, then it's just all it takes is just one miscommunication or just one misunderstanding for it to whoop. But fortunately, it blew up a little bit and then came straight back down once they realised that that nothing was happening. But it's just a lot of tension in the air. That's all.
Yeah, man, you can tell you've got a lot of support from some of the other fighters. I know big name MVP, Rockford and Page, he wasn't too impressed with that one at all. And I remember obviously at the weigh-ins as well, he wasn't too happy with the whole situation. Do you train with MVP and stuff as well? Because he seems to be with you quite a lot.
Yeah, we do. We're one of each other's main training partners. We train together a lot. We see each other every day. We joined the gym about the same time as well, actually. We kind of come on started our journeys in MMA at the same time. Obviously, with his style and his background in martial arts, he got put into a big show much quicker. But we've been doing it around about the same time. But yeah, again, like I said about these, from there was a lot of that was a crazy weekend because we had as well the media day. It went off with Gallagher and Kimball, and Kimball's our guest, basically. He's with us, and Gallagher's with the same management as Page. We see him about, and everyone's kind of cool. We all say hi to each other and everything. But obviously, Kimball and Gallagher back and forth with some comments. But we're in London, and Mike's staying with our gym and training with us, and so he's our guest in London right now. But the awkward situation is we're kind of friendly with Gallagher as well. And then we're all cutting weight this day before our fights. was definitely the day before the weigh-ins. Day before the weigh-ins. I can't remember which one. Yeah, I think it was the day before the weigh-ins. So we're all cutting weight. We're all a bit smashed. And then Gallagher comes out, starts swinging on Kimball, which is just like, this isn't the time of the place. So it's all going off in there as well. And then Gallagher's dad and his teammate, they're getting hyped up, and we're trying to break it all up. And it's just like people picking up glasses and stuff, and we're like, we're fighting now. This is nuts. Like, we're all cutting weight, but I guess we're fighting now. Again, that kind of diffused as well. And then so we're still everyone's kind of riled from that, and it's obviously all the Fabian shit's going on. We're riled from that. And then the next day we've got the face off with Fabian, and obviously it wasn't much. He put hands on me, but it wasn't much. Paige can't see from where he is. He's behind it. For him, all he sees is a swing. For it looks like he's tried to hit me, which he did, but it was a touch of a slap.
Yeah.
But all Paige has done, he's behind. He's seen someone swing, and obviously we've got each other's back, so he just comes flying in as well. And then I'm mad because I'm embarrassed because we've been facing off, and he's managed to do this to me in front of their cameras. So I'm fuming. I'm trying to get him. Paige is going nuts. There's one of the guys working for Bellator, but is like more friendly with them. He starts talking shit to Paige, and it was just a bit of mayhem that weekend. And but yeah, like I said, it's just when there's that much tension, just a little thing or a little miscommunication or that, then it just boils up quickly. That's all.
Yeah, that is it. Especially with the weight cutting as well, like you were saying. No one's happy during the weight cutting time. I tend not to interview fighters myself during that week, because I just want to leave them to it. They don't. Yeah. It's a lot of pressure, stress, and strain on your body. Like, I can't relate to it because I've never been a fighter, but I've known fighters for over many years, and I've seen people dragged in saunas. I've seen people crying, the hardest people I've ever seen in my life, and but you don't, as I said, when you get in the cage, you don't look drawn or weathered. You don't cut too much yourself, do you?
I don't do a massive weight cut now. I don't feel like I've never had an issue strength wise. And I used to try and like cut more and try and put more on. But then, to be honest, that was just a strain on my digestion and just made me sluggish. So I guess I come into fight week about 2 weeks out. I'm down to kind of like 92 kilos. Fight week, I come in about 90 kilos. On the day of my weight cut, I'll wake up 88 or 89 kilos. So I'm only doing like a 4 kilo water cut, which sounds like a lot, but by MMA standards, it's not a lot. It's like that especially for a middleweight. For a middleweight, cutting 4 kilos in water is just like that's pretty low.
It's healthy enough. It's healthy. Yeah. Doctor's not going to start having a go at you for that sort of thing.
No. You've got like you have like bantamweights doing 4 kilos. So as a percentage of their body weight, it's much more. So I don't do a massive one. Obviously, I feel it, and obviously I'm hungry, and my glycogen stores are depleted. And by the time I'm fighting again the next day, usually I'm back up to about 92. But I don't do a massive swing compared to some guys. But obviously, still I'm not in a like you see, don't interview fighters on that last week. Sometimes it could be an interesting time, just because, for me at least, I feel like there's no you can't be bothered to like have any pretense or bullshit, because you're kind of you got shit to do, you got people to talk to. I'm fine now, that's part of it, you got to talk to them, but I'm not going to put too much extra energy into it. So I'm not going to be guarding my answers. I'm not going to be I'm just going to say pretty much how it is. It's just the whole situation. The aggression is heightened. You're hungry, so you're more irritable anyway. You've got the stress of a fight coming up anyway, so everything's just you're just kind of ready to go at all times. So it's a funny state of mind to be in, yeah.
Hangry fighters, mate. Hangry, that's what we call you all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Mate, fair play to you all. It can't be pleasant. As much as we all like to sit around and eat crap and whatever, we can't really help. And especially in these times now, obviously, I'm sure it's pretty obvious. Everyone knows now we're all stuck in lockdown at the moment. Okay, so for someone like yourself, you were so buzzing and so ready to get back in there again, May 16th, get as you said, start jumping through those hoops again and building your way back up to the fight. How are you dealing with this situation now? All of a sudden, it's come to a standstill. So what are you doing with yourself and trying to keep yourself fight ready still?
Yeah, I'm just training. So I've set up some weights in my front garden, I'm like Cholo style. Like
I've seen. Is that your circuits on Instagram? I've seen.
Yeah. So I got my weights up there. I'm doing I'm doing my my shadow boxing just because my garden's not flat, so I'm on the road outside my house. The roads are dead quiet anyway, so I'm on the road outside my house with my dumbbells, doing my shadow boxing, like weight vest on and stuff, and just running a lot more than I'm. Not huge runner, to be honest with you. I know everyone's like, oh, you got to run all the stuff. I prefer to use the kind of the equipment that like, less stress on my joints. I like to do the climber, the Airdyne bikes, and obviously you get a lot of your fitness from the sparring and whatnot. But I've been doing a lot more running, and yeah, just my body's not quite used to this kind of volume of running that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm having to stretch a lot, getting some tweaks and things. But yeah, I'm just training to stay in shape because until I kind of knew that the fight wasn't on May 16th, but then until a few days ago, I didn't know either. That like it may be, maybe not. And even still now, you've got to assume that whenever this thing does finish, whenever it is all over, the shows aren't going to want to wait around. They're going to want that the people already are going to be first in line. So I don't know when this is ending or when we're going to be able to realistically put on a show, but I'm going to be in shape for it. All I've got to do other than that is just sit and stew, really. I just sit and stew about last year, and yeah, it's like you said, I was buzzing to get back on the right track again. But yeah, now I'm just kind of a little bit trapped, and I'm just stewing and kind of bouncing off the walls. So I'm just what can I do? Just train. So
Exactly,
that's what I'm doing.
at least I see, obviously, you got your family around, you got your wife and your kid around you as well, sort of thing. So at least you're not on your own. You've got something also to keep you occupied as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Looking at, and it's nice to spend time more with the family, I'm guessing, as well.
yeah, it is nice. It is nice. So the weather's been decent as well. So I've been able to go out a lot. So I'll go. We've got some nice. We've got like a playing field out the back of my garden as well. So
Okay.
you go out through my back of my garden. You can walk through the hedge and you're straight on a big playing field. So I can go do some running and stuff out there. Do my sprints. So oftentimes I'll go out and I'll start training, and then hour or so later, or hour and a half later, Lids and my kid Millie will come out, and then so we'll have a little play and have a little walkabout as well. So it's nice. I'm getting to spend a lot of time with my little girl. So yeah, so getting a lot of bonding time in as well. So yeah, there's some positives to be had from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, for sure. That's what we all need to be doing right now, is looking at the positive sides of things opposed to the negatives. Otherwise, we're all going to start driving ourselves mental, and that's the last thing you want to be doing in this situation. But again, it's good you're getting out there. And as you said, the weather's nice now, but it would be nice, wouldn't it? The minute we're all on lockdown, you know what I mean? The weather's nice. The minute we're allowed outside again, it's going to piss down with rain. Of course it is.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah,
Just make
yeah, but can you imagine if it was like this is going on and it's grey and it's cold as well? You just there'd be a lot, yeah, there'd be a lot more sad people. I'm sure there are now as well anyway. But yeah, I think talking about plus sides and positives, you got to think like the amount of people who still can work from home. Just from a selfish point of view, I'm hoping my commute's going to get better. I'm hoping some people wake up to this and realize that not everyone needs a big office space in London, and like you can just hire staff that can work from home. So hopefully that will ease up the roads, have a bit less pollution. Also, I can get to the gym in 15, 20 minutes. That would be ideal. Yeah, so hopefully there will be some benefits that come out the back of this. So yeah, it's not all bad news. Hopefully.
No, exactly. I think everyone. It's like what makes me laugh is the amount of people who's like, "Oh, I've got to wash my hands before I do this, like eat dinner." I'm like, not being funny, but that was the first thing I'd learned as a kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just shows you. I mean, we're actually quite a dirty nation, to be fair, talking to a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%,
I know,
100%.
man. But maybe this will make us all a lot more hygienic. But I can just see in a year's time, everything's clear. There's no coronavirus, but we're all standing like 10 foot away from each other. Oh, he coughed. He must be ill again. There's a new virus on the way. That's what I'm worried about. That everyone's going to get a bit paranoid after this is all over. Fair play. Some of them should do. But it's just that's what worries me after all this happens. Are they going to just still have all this social distancing? Maybe that's a good thing. You never know.
Yeah, it's not it's not something that's going to. I think we're not. It's not going to be quite back to normal after this. It's such a massive thing to happen when you think about it. It's monumental. Like this is the biggest point of history in I can think of probably since like World War II. This is
Yeah, man. We've all been put in lockdown. A virus has made us all stay at home. Like you can't. The government can't make everyone stay at home generally without a virus. Like, you know what I mean? The police can't make everyone stay at home. They can't keep prisoners in prison. They keep escaping. But now we all want to stay put.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. And like you said about the government, like it's everyone's like giving a hard time, but like, oh, why didn't the government do this quicker? And why didn't it lock it down? We should have done it. And everyone's saying, oh, we should have done this, should have done that. It's not something to be trifled with. Like removing the right of assembly and freedom to go outside in our country, like that's not something to be trifled with. I fully understand why you don't want to do that unless absolutely necessary. And everyone's kind of getting a bit a lot of, you can see on social media, a lot of people getting a bit self-righteous and be like, oh, and saying, oh, they should have done this early, should have done that. No, man, like the moment you cede a bit of liberty to your government, you don't get all of that back. You look at what happened with after 9/11 and stuff, and then in America, obviously, but it ripples to us, like the kind of Patriot Act and stuff, where now all of a sudden they can watch you through your phone. All stuff that you thought was conspiracy theories turned out that got leaked by WikiLeaks. Turns out it's actually true. You can be watched through your phone. The microphone can be turned on without your knowledge. They can do all this stuff without a warrant. This Patriot Act and all these big things get put in, and then with an emergency. And then when the emergency is passed or it goes away, or whether it was as big as what you thought in the first place, they peel some of those back, but they don't give all those rights back. So before we give up any kind of rights about going outside and freedom of assembly and stuff, you've got to be real careful, because my fear after this as well is like, obviously we're going to get most of it back, but maybe there's going to be a few bits of legislation that it's going to have shifted a little bit, and maybe we're going to be slightly less free than we were before. I don't know. Obviously it's a super serious situation, and it's a tough call to make. Like, what do we do? Do we do this, or do we risk an extra few million people dying? And it's like, I get it. It's a tough situation, but like I said, it's not to be taken lightly. And I think we've got to be diligent of the back end of this to make sure that our liberties aren't kind of being eroded away, because it seems to be the kind of direction things are going a little bit. It seems to be that seems to be the pattern. Something bad happens. We have to bring in these emergency measures. Okay, the emergency measures are gone, except for we'll keep a little bit, and it's just, it creeps up.
And you're right. If you rush into these things too much, it's taking everyone's human rights away straight away, and then you're going to have a problem, But as you said, they've done it. I think they've done the best they can, to be honest with you, with this situation.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And you see, they did think about it, and they were reluctant to move, and maybe that did make it a little bit slower than it could have been. But I think you've got to be cautious when you're making these huge kind of like when you're huge infringements on our personal lives. Like, the government has to be super careful to do that.
And sadly, in some countries, which unfortunately are quite war-ridden and there's dictatorships and stuff, they do have to stay indoors most of the time, because, it's like you're getting a taste of what actually, it could be, in this sort of country. We've been so lucky to have so much freedom in this country and do what we want and drive where we want, when we want, where we want. We don't have to worry about crossing loads of borders with our British passports. Well, maybe now we've left Europe, but you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? But all of a sudden now we feel like we're under martial law, and you see this stuff in films. Like, I'm surprised the tanks haven't started rolling down the streets, and 2 million soldiers. It's what it feels like it could be. I know it sounds a bit over exaggerating, but the way it's escalating, and people are still going out. I went for a walk down to the shop, just me and the wife, just the two of us, and just to get out for just some point of the day. And I look on the field, there's about 10 guys playing football, with all picnic stuff everywhere, and there's people all playing in the park together. I'm thinking, no one listens, do they? We're going to be stuck doing this forever, like, as you said, till the end of the year, and it's stopping people like yourselves fighting.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, man, and what can you say? It's like you say, that it does sound like melodramatic when you're kind of saying this stuff, but it is, when you think about what's happened, it's massive. Like just all the sports events just stopped. People aren't flying to other countries anymore. It's the start of a movie, man. It's like, when was
the last time the Olympics was cancelled or postponed a year?
I guess the war. Yeah, I guess World War II. That's nuts. And you say, I was saying it's like the biggest thing since World War II, but like the population is bigger now, and this isn't like when it's a human conflict, when it's like when there's wars going on, there'll be countries that kind of left out. Okay, they're left out of it. They're not so affected by it. Obviously, it's a massive scale conflict like that. Everyone's affected somehow, but this is no one's escaping it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can be whatever small like backwards country, like that has nothing to do with anyone, you're still getting it. You can be minding your own, but yeah, it's affecting everyone. It's proper global. Yeah, it's real interesting times, man.
It's like these tiny islands, like these like exotic places, like the Seychelles and
Yeah,
Maldives and
yeah,
Mauritius. You know, I know a few people in Mauritius, and they're like, "Yeah, it's there. You know, it's in Mauritius, it's in Maldives, and these are in the middle of the Indian Ocean with nothing around them at all for miles and miles and miles."
yeah.
And
It's
as you said,
crazy.
there's no sitting out this one.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who live in Bermuda, and like same thing. They're like, oh, we're on an island, like kind of away from it. Yeah, but it's a small island. Like, and the moment it gets there, and obviously it's got there now. There's too much. We're too much of a global society now. Everyone's flying somewhere, and yeah, so now Bermuda's got it, and like you say, like they're in the they're in the middle of nowhere, and they don't have the same kind of infrastructure maybe that a mainland country like that. I don't know. I think they were saying they have like 200 hospital beds or something, and they've got like two what they breather, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got ventilator.
ventilators.
That's the word. They got like two of those or something, and it's like Jesus, like it's not a huge population, but like two ventilators isn't enough. Like and it's a long way to go to get help. So it's tricky, man.
When you see some of these stats, I know it's very morbid to look at, but unfortunately, it's chucked in our face by the media of countries who have infected and people who have died. A lot of these smaller islands, you do see that the amount of people who've got it to have died is, there isn't a large gap there, opposed to other countries in the world. So yeah, it is down to the medical, what we need, for medicines, ventilators, stuff like that. And I said the UK government are getting a lot of jip for not having their ventilators and masks all made, but they can't just go and pick them up from the wholesaler. It doesn't work like that. But again, they're doing their best, and I guess we've got to do what we've got to do, sit in. But as I said, at least you're keeping yourself positive, you keep yourself fight ready. And worst case scenario, it gets to like the end of the year, and they think, right, we'll put an event on, but you know what, behind closed doors. At least that way you can get some of your fighters back in. Would that still interest you? It does.
100%. Absolutely, man. Like. I think that makes sense as well for the companies as well, because people are going to be bored out of their minds. They're going to be able to watch something. Yeah, if you can do an event behind closed doors, then as soon as you can do that, I think you should be doing that. But obviously, the tricky part of that is as well, like we've got opponents, we got a lot of opponents coming from America or different places, or so. Yeah, it's the travel issue as well. But yeah, as soon as that's available, then I'd be all over that, doing an event behind closed doors for sure.
Yeah, I bet that'd be very, very weird. And without sounding selfish, as long as they let the media in, I'll be happy. I'll sit there front, everyone on.
Yeah, the empty stadium. I mean, that's what I was thinking about as well, because I was thinking before they cancel the event, I was like, before they cancel the event, I was thinking maybe I'd still be on May 16th, maybe behind closed doors. I was like, if it is behind closed doors and they go ahead, you got to come out to one of those songs like Sweet Caroline or something, when it's just an empty arena and there's no one singing along. It would be super weird, man.
Because they always stop the music. It's like Sweet Caroline, then stop the music, then just
silence.
silence.
Just you on your own.
Just you. Yeah, man. But it is eerie. I think the last UFC card, I think, was in Brazil. I think it was in Brazil. I can't remember. But it was behind closed doors, And honestly, it was just like the good thing is that it's actually a bit of a similar experience to sitting cage side. You can actually hear the punches land. You can hear the leg kicks land. So it is different. And what I like is when the fight's won, you actually really hear the enthusiasm and how excited the fighter is. Like, you can really hear it. And you're thinking,
well, I guess is interesting. Listen to the corners that you might like. I guess all corners are mic'd up, a lot of them now as well. Yeah. But like, I mean, even if you're just sitting there, you can just, it'd be super weird because obviously when you're inspiring, you can just hear your coach saying what to do, this and that. When it's a fight and people going a bit nuts, like you don't necessarily hear that so much anymore. So it'd be very interesting dynamic to the fight, just like being able to hear both coaches, being able to hear what their coach is saying as well. Because usually you have to kind of zone out all the noise. So I'm only picking up what my coach is saying. You might catch bits and bobs. And if I'm lucky, if I can pick up what my coach is saying when it's like when it's a loud atmosphere, but it'd be very interesting. Like you can hear every word they're saying, every word you're saying. It'd be like a sparring when you do like spar at another gym. It'd be very strange.
I think they should just if they do it behind closed doors, just scrap the walkout completely and just have you all sitting in chairs at the front with all your gear already. Right next, just step up, you step up.
Let's go. Yeah.
You go. So, anyway, mate, I'll tell you what, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate. I'll let you get back to your training and all your family and stuff, mate. But obviously, I want people to check out, if you were bored and you want to do some training and you've got a guard and some weights, check out Mike's Instagram as well. There's some good circuit training there. I got through the first 4 reps of the dumbbell, of the long bar, and that was about it, to be fair. So see if you can get any further. But again, I really hope to see you fight again later this year. You're an exciting fight. You're an exciting fighter to watch. You know, I've watched you through your UCMMA, all through BAMA, Bellator, everything. You know, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Come. I say come back. You never got devastatingly beaten in any of your fights, but I mean, I want to see what you've taken away from your fights, what you've learned, and as you said, after your first fight, you had that mentality, and then you had a 13-fight win streak. Now you've had that same issue again. Will you have the same win streak again? And that's what I can't wait to see, mate. I really can't. But
that's what, Chris.
No worries, man. But before you go, just give a shout out to obviously anyone who helped you get to where you are, any gyms, any sponsors, people like that. Feel free.
Oh yeah, I've got to say, obviously as always, London Shoot Fighters, kind of really made me the fighter I am today. Just really had a huge impact on my life. My parents, obviously, just always because it's not always that easy. Like coming up, especially with the family and stuff. So having my parents nearby, helping to support me, and being able to take care of my girl as well for me. Obviously not right now, but yeah, that and Lids, who's Liz, my missus, who cooking me lots of food, puts up a lot of with a lot of bullshit, and just got to say thank you, family, friends, and my gym.
Perfect, mate. And as I said, really glad to see you're still staying positive and everything, mate. It's great to see, especially in this crap situation. But I'll let you get back out to your running field and your circuits and stuff like that. But again, look forward to seeing you in the future, mate. And I'm sure we'll talk again, if not in podcast, in person at your next event, mate.
Nice one. Cheers. Look forward to it.
Cheers, fella. Thanks very much.